Hi there, my name is Paul, I live in Los Angeles, California, and you're watching The Green Card Show, the channel that tells you how to move to the US and what to do in here.
Sam, I wish you could see this place. It's amazing.
This episode will be truly a gem, because I will tell you how can anyone in the USA, and in California specifically, get a lot of interesting and fascinating things absolutely for free.
Whoa.
You will know how to watch the most famous TV shows in person for free, how to become the first one in the world to watch Hollywood blockbusters months before its premiere for free, how to teach your children to pilot an airplane and not pay a single cent for such lessons.
Stan, don't you know the first law of physics? Anything that's fun costs at least $8.
It's absolutely unimportant whether you're a tourist, legal immigrant, an illegal immigrant. The things I'll tell you about are free or cost almost nothing, absolutely for everyone. That is why, if you ever come to California simply for sightseeing, or even if you move here with your family, you can be absolutely sure you will want to use one or more of the things I will tell you about. I'm sure that when people here make free events, free education classes, their actions are as if telling you one thing: welcome to America. The first great thing in Los Angeles, and it's free, is going to the cinema to watch a pre-premiere showing of a movie months before its release.
This movie is good.
This is wildly cool. Just imagine if you watch Godzilla 14 months before it started at the cinema. And you watched it with some of the VFX not done yet, and you saw how it was being made, where the effects were applied, and later you could go to the cinema to see if your comments influenced the final version.
Adam Sandler plays a guy and his sister, and it's just awful. It's unwatchable, but you know.
To do all this, you don't need to know people in the industry or have friends who produce a $50 million movie themselves. The only thing you need is register on one of these websites, and you will start receiving invitations in your email box. For example, this one offers to watch Cheaper by the Dozen on September 18th in Cinemark Theater. Click RSVP and you're on the registration page. Here you can see how the movie is named, where you will watch it and when, and that you will need to have 1 or 2 kids 7 to 14 years old with you. To confirm your entry on this page, enter your name, email, date of birth, country USA, zip code, phone number, age, ethnicity, and gender. Then you can be asked, why do you want to watch the movie? Pick a reason, say you love comedies. Lower, enter the number of children you will bring, their age, ethnicity, and gender. When asked if you work in the entertainment industry, choose no. Click this checkbox to accept the terms of the agreement. That's it. Wait for email invitations. You won't be allowed to bring neither a phone nor a dictaphone with you, and if you do bring them and record anything, most likely you'll go to jail.
Yeah, I got you. I got you on camera.
The rule of thumb for coming to watch a movie is simple. It's best to come around 60-70 minutes before the showtime and take your place in the line outside. You must have a printed confirmation that you received via email after registering for the movie. You will be invited to the theater and you can choose any seat. Before entering, you are to give your phone to security guys who will place it in a special envelope and give you a unique ticket for you to get your phone back. Quite often you will watch movies that have not even been announced yet. So there is a movie with Hollywood stars in it and zero news about it anywhere, and you have already seen it. To me personally, it is a unique chance to see more for less. Say when in March 2020 COVID jailed all the people at homes, many people really did miss premieres. Meanwhile, I personally saw almost every movie that was to be released later that year. There is a second way to get to such film events. It's having actual friends who did work on this or that movie. Such friends can often call you to so-called press screenings. These are pre-premieres held in smaller theaters. Usually there you will see some of the cast and crew who worked on this movie, some producers and actors, and you are being shown an almost finished or finished product, almost totally polished. Maybe some sound effects will not be in place, but the atmosphere will be more like friends-only screening. Though sometimes it happens so that marketing screenings, rarely but does happen, get you into these smaller theaters too.
Oh, it was so good I almost peed my pants.
What?
I sincerely advise you to use this chance. Either you're a tourist or a US citizen or even an illegal immigrant. Nobody cares. Everything that matters is to be of the age they look for, bring any documents of any country that prove your identity, and sign a non-disclosure agreement. That's it. The world of movies is waiting for you. One more amazing free thing you can do in Los Angeles and in New York and some other cities in USA is to become a part of the audience of the most famous TV shows in the world, such as Seth Meyers or Stephen Colbert's. It's totally free as well, you don't need to do anything but visiting these websites. I will use one Yoda site as an example to show how it works. As you can see, I can choose shows like Jimmy Kimmel's, James Corden's, Seth Meyers, Kelly Clarkson's, Tamarron's, and others. You will need to create your account on this site. If you don't have one, the site will offer you to create it anyway. Let's assume I want to be a part of the audience of Jimmy Kimmel's show. Choose the episode you want to see filmed. Oh, here's one with Billie Eilish as a guest star. Why not look at her? Click Request Tickets, select the number of tickets, and write some fan-style text into this field for the producers to see why they should invite you. Click Next, double-check your name and the number of tickets are correct, click Complete Request, and that's it. Now your request is in the queue and you will receive some response in your email box. You will have a great time, we'll listen to a ton of jokes, you will see some star that you know or will know pretty soon.
Very good to see you. Well, it's great to have you here. We're going to see you on TV on Sunday.
You will understand how such shows are produced, how does the studio look on the inside, how the audience is let in and seated, how people are warmed up before the show.
And did everyone join you on this? Your ex-husband must be a real.
Some shows issue tickets automatically. Other shows can evaluate if you fit what they need age-wise, ethnicity, and gender-wise. Why is that? Very simple. Say, if the episode has some star of the Black Panther invited, and this movie was a huge hit specifically for the black people in the United States, chances are the show producer will want more black people in the audience to cheer their beloved actor. Anyway, these tickets will be totally free, and if you are not selected for one episode, just submit for the other.
No ticket.
The show itself will be totally positive kind of experience, because in the first place you will be warmed up as the audience. Some stand-up comedian will come in the beginning, or a producer who was a stand-up comedian, and for at least half of an hour they will deliver jokes so that you are laughing even if the host shows you his finger. Then you will see your beloved host in real life. They will come and talk to you all off camera. Maybe they will answer some questions of yours. This is the part that does not make it in the final cut of the TV show. Maybe, depends on the show, you can even win some prizes. Of course, the shows with giveaways always have more applications for the audience than, say, Stephen Colbert's show.
Can you believe it?
That's a good point. What if I'm dreaming?
My honest advice is simple. If you are a tourist and you want to get a ton of memories, sign up for one of such shows. And you will definitely get positive emotions, photos to share with your family, and it also can be so that, it happens sometimes, that you will see yourself on TV, because sometimes cameras are turned towards the audience when the host wants to see some reaction, or hear you screaming and all of you start. Also, you'll see within tens of feet some superstar who played in TV series, a movie, some performer, or even a politician. It all depends on who was invited to the show this time. What you see right behind me is Coneja Valley Archery Club. It's one of the best archery clubs in Los Angeles in my opinion, and I will tell you why. Coneja Valley Archery is open to the public every Saturday from 9 AM to 1 PM when they hold sessions that will cost you just $5 per person. And for this money, $5 total, you will get a bow, arrows, a quiver, protective gear, absolutely everything you need to train. More than that, the coaches who work here are really good, and they have a Junior Olympics program here as well. Local coaches always devote some time to each visitor and help you learn how to shoot better. You always feel welcome here. Why do I mention this place as something free? Is not only because $5 is almost nothing, but because of the people who work here. They are really, really good. And let's suppose you are really deep in trouble financially and you cannot afford even $5. You can come and explain your situation. I am 100% positive that you will be let in for free, or someone like me who overhears your story will just cover this $5 for you.
Hear the sound?
Yeah.
Now you see how the back of him has got kind of that white trim. Now as it goes up, you see how it goes towards a light green? Mm-hmm. This is what they call a Mojave green. And these things are very, very venomous. Very venomous.
Oh, and you don't put it in cage?
No, I just brought it up here to show everybody because people don't know about rattlesnakes and that.
So what do you do when you see a snake like this?
Catch it. Stay away from it.
Just slowly walk away, or?
No, just walk away.
Yeah.
He's rattling to tell you you're invading my space.
So just go away, yeah?
Walk away. If I'm anywhere else, I walk by him, just leave him alone. But on the range, my job is to get him off the range because we have children. I don't want anybody bit. In the last 4 years, I've probably taken over 100 snakes off this range.
So finally, as I promised, I'm going to tell you Los Angeles' best kept secret. It could have been one of the most well-guarded secrets of LA, but it's no secret at all. Though I personally talked to hundreds of families and none of them have ever heard about this unique program.
Homie, what are you doing? You don't know how to fly?
I drove a car over a cliff once. How different could it be?
The program is called Young Eagles. To participate in it, go to youngeaglesday.org, select your city and airport that is closest to you, and register your child for the date you like. In this example, it is the 23rd of October from 10:30 to 1 p.m. Click Register for Event and you will get to the registration page. Here you must enter parents' info. It must be a parent or a legal guardian, name, email, address and phone number. Also note how did you hear about the program and how many children you'll bring. Now enter the child's name, gender, date of birth, and how many flights had the child had, because those who fly for the first time are prioritized. Acknowledge the terms by clicking the checkbox, it's liability waiver for the pilots, and then click the green button. This is the confirmation page. It means that you are confirmed for the event. Get ready to fly. There are a lot of participating airports all around the states, because there are hundreds of pilots enthusiasts who volunteer their time, money, and their guests to teach kids to fly. So do register, sign the waiver. It means you will have no claims in case anything happens during the flight. Then print the confirmation page and come on the date and time you registered for. For example, in Los Angeles Whitman Airport, flights happen every third Saturday of each month and starts at 10:30 a.m.
Hey, Mike?
Yeah?
I changed my mind. I don't want to do this.
If you want to simply have fun, to let your child sit on an airplane, see everything from the inside and fly as a passenger, that's fine. But here's my advice to you. If your child lets the pilot know that he or she is sincerely interested in flying and wants to know all the smallest details of flying, radio exchange and everything around airplanes, pilots will accept your child as equal and will help. They will become your friends because they will see you not as one of Disneyland visitors who came just to have fun, but as a friend and a colleague of sorts. Oh, someone is taking off, by the way. In this case, pilots want to share their knowledge with you, because any person who loves their hobby so much that they are ready to spend their free time to help you fly, such a person wants you to want to become a part of this community, to be one of the pilots.
I'm going piloting today after so long. This is going to be amazing.
That is why, when your child goes for a flight, let him or her have a notepad and a pencil and tell the child to ask the pilot all the possible questions. For example, what should I say before starting an engine? How do I turn the airplane electric system on? Where is the lever that controls the flaps? Please tell me what phrases should I use as a pilot for radio exchange with the airport tower? May I please try actually flying the airplane after we take off? In almost every case, you will get a positive response. You will get everything explained, and the result will be not only in the fun you're going to have, but in the knowledge as well. In this airport, it's called Whitman Airport, and it's located in San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles, northeastern part of it. There is a pilot who manages this program. His name is Dave. He flies an experimental airplane he made on his own, and this is the fastest airplane on this airfield. This airplane is for 2 people. Dave the pilot is in the front, and your child gets seated in the back. Dave has one rule. If you are flying with him, you will fly this airplane when in the air. If you start asking him questions, he will happily answer all of them and load you with a ton of useful info about flying, technicalities, and even physics of flying. After each flight, your child will be more and more educated and prepared to fly. Till 17 years old, they can get as much info and experience that they can spend some short time to refresh it all via paid lessons, and in their 17-18 years, they will pass the exam and will get a pilot license. It's just surreal.
You did it! You landed a jet!
And now to taxi to the terminal.
For 10 years, your children can fly every month for about an hour or more if you register in several airports, and they will get the amount of knowledge that can be compared to a flight school. And you will pay for it exactly zero. Exactly zero. Also, next to the airfield, there is always some green area where you can set up a picnic. While your children are flying, you're having a good time. I absolutely recommend doing this because this is the very best program United States can offer.
The Experimental Aircraft Association, which is an international group, headquartered in Wisconsin, did a survey in 1992 of all the pilots saying, what's the biggest problem facing aviation? And over 60% said getting enough young people interested. So we started this program. We had a goal of getting 1 million kids their first ride by December 17th of 2003. And that was the 100th anniversary of the Wright brothers flight.
You fools! That will never work because plywood weighs more than air. To which the Wright brothers responded, no, it doesn't.
And so we worked and we worked and we worked, and we got to 1 million kids in November of that year. We just made it.
I'll just get us started.
We'll need that to live.
Because, you know, airports are all fenced off these days, with all security and all this craziness. Kids are prohibited or prevented. It's much more difficult to learn about flying. So we started that. And at the beginning, since all the money for this program comes out of the pilots' personal pockets, we refused to give people a second chance. You get one ride and that's it. And then it's embarrassing how long it took. But we finally realized, wait a minute, the kids who come back are the kids who are really interested. Just like Dana has come back several times. She's really interested. We decided, well, let's just keep the program going instead of ending it in 2003. And we've flown about almost 2.5 million, about 2.25 million kids so far since that year. And yesterday, we gave 40 rides. And none of these rides do we charge to the kids for. And in fact, most of the pilots are not allowed to accept pay for this kind of flying because of our licensing arrangements. You have to take a certain level of training and so on in order to fly for pay. Because a passenger, when they're paying for it, has a right to expect more than if they're just going with a friend. And our local group decided to just keep right on going, and we've done this every single fourth Saturday of the month since, well, we started actually in 1993, and we've done it every time since then. And then we have a fairly wealthy person who made a donation. He created a course online that kids can start taking that course, enough so to get all the ground school requirements out of the way to get their pilot's license. In the US, you can go solo, which means your instructor thinks you're a safe pilot, you won't kill yourself, and you won't smash up his airplane. In a glider, you can do that at age 14. In a power plane, you have to be 16, because a power plane is more complicated, and you can't take passengers with you till you're 17. But to be an airline pilot, you only have to be 22. And one of my most memorable flights, which I love to talk about, it happened, I don't know when, at least 20 years ago, was a boy about 14 who came up to my airplane with tears streaming down his face. You look like you're pretty worried about this. Yes, I am. Well, you know, most people are kind of afraid of flying. Some people let the fears show. Some people hide them pretty well. It's not just kids who have those fears. Chances are when you find out how easy this is, those fears will be gone. And about 10 minutes later, as we started to come back from the airport, 15 minutes later, he called me on the intercom and said, "I'm not afraid anymore." And we all know who Albert Einstein was, right? But he had to have his train ticket in order to know when to get off the train. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, and that was one of his weaknesses, keeping track of himself. That's what we're all about, is not so much giving people the flying experience as kind of a growth and maturing as a kid. Yesterday, one boy said to his mom, "Now I know who I am." And yesterday, we had a girl who was so afraid she absolutely refused to fly. And so what I told her and her mom and dad was, just stay here for a while. Nobody will pressure you at all. You don't have to fly. But if after you see it happening for all these other kids around, including your younger brother, if you change your mind and want to go fly, we'll give you a ride. And she went for a ride. Last month, the same thing happened with a different girl. She went for 2 rides. It's a fun program, and one of the things that I love to say is the grins on the pilots' faces are just as big as the grins on the kids' faces. There are about 6 or 7 groups in Los Angeles that do this. They're in Santa Barbara. They're all around the world. I don't know how active it is in Europe, but it is done in Europe, yes. We call it Young Eagles because that was a catchy name for it. The rule is they have to be a minimum of 8 years old and before their 18th birthday. The airplanes that we use, most of them are 4-seaters. That means that at least one person usually gets to fly. And I love to tease kids. The rule, if they fly with me, I have a 2-seat airplane. I sit in the front and the passenger sits behind me. I tell them the rule is you must take the controls. And boy, do they get scared. And then I say, wait a minute, I'm not going to let somebody I've not met before kill me. And if I come back alive, there's a pretty good chance you're going to come back alive. But you know, logic doesn't overcome fears. So when they find out how easy it is, in my airplane, there's just a little bit of a stick. So when you move the stick to the right, you go to the right. You move it to the left, you go to the left. Forward is down and back is up. It's that easy. You can see the instruments, so you can see the altimeter, which shows you how high you are above sea level. You can often see the airspeed indicator. You can see an awful lot of things. And what we've finally learned to do in our program here is before we fly, I talk with everybody to tell them what to listen to. Because, for example, the people in the control tower don't care what your name is or my name is or the passenger. He wants to know what kind of airplane do I look for and which one. There are a lot of Cessnas, there are a lot of Pipers and so on, so we have to give them the tail number. And so I tell people what to listen for. When you hear your airplane called out, that means your people are paying attention. That boy that I started to talk about, he got his pilot's license before he got his driver's license. So he would take his girlfriend flying for a date because he couldn't drive with a date. I had a young boy come up to me and said, "Is that your airplane out there?" "Yes." "Well, you gave me a ride 3 years ago, and I want you to know that this week I got my pilot's license." "Oh, really?" So we're making a difference in people's lives. Obviously, we'd like to see people get interested in aviation. And before this whole COVID panic came about, there was really a shortage of airline pilots. The airlines were actually having to cancel flights because they couldn't get air crews to fly them. It's not uncommon for a senior pilot to earn well over $250,000 a year. It's quite easy to buy an airplane. And you have to be careful when you do it because an airplane, you're going to get what you pay for. If you buy a really inexpensive airplane, and you can buy an inexpensive airplane for less than a luxury car. It's going to have an engine that needs to be overhauled, which can be very expensive. It may have other maintenance problems. An airplane, airline or civil aviation, has to be thoroughly inspected every single year. They call it an annual inspection. And you go through everything, and that can be kind of expensive. That's why that airplane right there can still fly after 75 years, because they maintain it very, very carefully. Every year you go through everything, and you want to make sure you resolve a small problem before it becomes a big problem. That's part of the idea. The Civil Air Patrol, or CAP, is an auxiliary of the United States Air Force, and they have a couple of programs. One is they're really the search and rescue people for this country. When an airplane goes down or a hiker gets lost, they'll often call out the Civil Air Patrol. They're all volunteers. They don't get paid for it. They go and search as long as they can to find that person or the wreck or whatever. And then the second program that the CAP does is to help youth get introduced into aviation. So they do an awful lot to help with leadership and developing leadership skills and discipline. It is a slightly military type organization, but that's got a lot more goods than it does bads, I think. The kids can get scholarship money and help to take flight instruction. In fact, on that point, some of the airlines are so hurting for pilots, they've actually started flight schools. If your daughter, for example, wants to become a pilot and she goes to Lufthansa flight school, she's got a job at Lufthansa when she graduates. There are only 6% of pilots who are women. It's not discrimination, it's because most women aren't interested. My wife will not fly with me. She just isn't interested. There are a lot of very capable women pilots. In fact, there's one organization called the 99s. There were 99 people, I think the year was 1929, Amelia Earhart was one of the people, who founded an organization called the 99. It's just for women pilots. They offer an awful lot of really good things for pilots, a lot of training. They do a lot to keep things going. It is expensive to learn how to fly. Flying has always been expensive. But if you really want to do it and you're passionate, somehow you'll find a way.